Have you ever just looked at the world and noticed that everything seems to be a kind of balance? A balance of opposites? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to explore this incredible idea from the Quran's Surah Ar-Rahman. This idea that all of creation, from the vastness of the universe, right down to the landscape of our own hearts, is this beautiful, delicate dance.
And this is the question that anchors the whole chapter. It repeats again and again like a heartbeat. It's a meditative refrain that's going to guide us through our whole exploration today. It's really an invitation, isn't it? To look at the world around you and the world inside you with a genuine sense of wonder and, well, gratitude.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this journey. First, we'll start with this foundational idea of creation being like a conversation. Then, we'll look at the core elements of our own being. From there, we'll dive into this powerful metaphor of two seas meeting and see what kind of beauty is born from that tension. Then we'll explore our role in this whole divine order, and finally, we'll bring it all back home to your own inner balance.
All right, so first things first. The way these verses describe creation, it isn't a single static event. Instead, it's framed as this dynamic dialogue, a conversation between complementary pairs. You can think of it like this. Every opposite, every polarity is really a mirror reflecting its partner, and together they point to a much deeper, hidden unity.
And that brings us to our first foundational pair. The Surah tells us that humanity was created from clay like pottery, and another creation, the jinn, from a smokeless flame of fire. I mean, you can't get much more different than that, right? Two totally different substances, two completely distinct origins.
So on the surface, the meaning seems pretty clear. Diversity is part of the clan. It's a deliberate, complementary design. Humanity, from clay, is grounded, tangible, and connected to humility. The jinn, from fire, are all about energy, passion, a different kind of will. This tension between them isn't a flaw, it's the artistry of the whole thing.
But here's where it gets really fascinating. We can take this inward. Clay and fire aren't just out there. They're symbolic states of consciousness inside each and every one of us. The clay in you is your capacity for receptivity, for humility, for grounding yourself and actually bearing fruit. And the fire? That's your energy, your passion, your drive. It's what illuminates things. But, as we all know, if it's unchecked, it can also totally consume you. The great mystic Ibn Arabi just nails this partnership. He says clay is the mirror, fire is the light. How perfect is that? You need both. When the light of our spirit and our passion hits the receptive vessel of our being, that's when we can perceive something divine. They're not rivals at all. They're essential partners for spiritual vision.
And what's so cool is how modern science seems to echo this ancient imagery. Some scientific theories propose that the very first building blocks of life may have actually formed in, you guessed it, clay minerals. And what gave them the spark to animate? Energy, from the sun, from geothermal vents, a kind of cosmic fire. So, at its very essence, life is this union of matter and energy, of clay and fire.
So let's move on to the next pair, and you'll see how this idea builds. The Surah gives us another really powerful metaphor, the image of two seas that meet but don't mix.
The verse says, He let loose the two seas meeting together. Between them is a barrier they do not transgress. And you can literally see this in nature. Think of a place where a freshwater river flows into the saltwater ocean. They meet, they flow alongside each other, but they stay remarkably distinct because of differences in density and salinity. It's an incredible phenomenon. And this barrier has a crucial name, the barzakh. Now, it's not a solid wall. It's more like a permeable membrane, a merciful partition. It's this liminal space that allows two different realities to coexist, to touch and interact, without one completely overwhelming the other. It's a space of harmonious tension.
And just like with clay and fire, the mystics saw this as a profound inner reality. For Rusbi Han al-Bakli, the human heart is this meeting place of the two seas. One sea is our physical body, our dust, and the other is our spirit, our flame. And the barzakh, holding them in that perfect balance, for him, that barrier is love.
And again, this principle shows up everywhere. Oceanography calls this transitional layer a halocline. And get this, in quantum physics, light can behave as both a wave and a particle. It's like a quantum barzakh. It shows us a universe where difference can exist beautifully, without just descending into conflict.
Okay, so if creation is this meeting of opposites, held in this merciful tension, what's born from that meeting? What comes out of it?
The Surah gives the answer immediately. It says that from this turbulence, something precious emerges, pearls and coral. And that just raises this beautiful question for us, doesn't it?
How does beauty arise from turbulence?
I mean, think about the pearl. It's the perfect metaphor. It all starts with an irritant, right? A piece of sand gets inside a living oyster. And in response, the oyster patiently coats that source of friction with layer upon layer of this beautiful, shining substance. The result isn't a scar, it's a radiant jewel. It's beauty born directly from hardship, a healing response turned into art.
The scholar Al-Qushayri saw this as a direct metaphor for our own spiritual growth. For him, pearls are the wisdom and insights that get polished and perfected by the trials we face. And coral, which grows in community, represents the beautiful speech and expression that comes from hearts that are mindful, hearts that are filled with remembrance.
So you can see this sequence building, clay and fire, the two C's, pearls and coral. And now this all leads to a final image that brings humanity's role right into the center of the picture.
The Surah gives us this majestic image of ships sailing on these very seas. They're described as being raised high like mountains. It's this powerful symbol of human artistry and our technology, navigating this grand divine order.
And here's the crucial point. The ships don't conquer the sea. They sail upon it because they are built in harmony with its laws, the laws of buoyancy, proportion, and symmetry. Our greatest achievements, our highest art, it doesn't come from trying to dominate nature. It comes from understanding its inherent balance and participating in it. Human creativity, at its best, becomes a way of collaborating with the divine.
So now let's bring this whole journey home. After exploring all these cosmic principles, the real question is, how does this apply to our own inner lives? This is where the wisdom becomes truly personal. So just take a moment and reflect. Where is the fire in your life? Your energy, your passion, your drive to create and act? And where is the clay? Your patience, your humility, your ability to just receive and be still. Are they in balance? Because we all know what happens when they're not. Too much fire, and we burn out. Too much clay, and we just stagnate. The whole goal is harmony.
And what are the two C's inside of you? Maybe it's your outer life of action, your work, your family, and your inner life of contemplation and quiet reflection. You need both. They're both essential. So how do you maintain that merciful barzakh between them so that one doesn't just completely flood the other? Well, the traditions tell us that things like gratitude and remembrance, those are the forces that maintain that delicate, life-giving balance.
And this brings us to a final thought, captured in this beautiful prayer that asks for this very harmony. It's a plea to be held in that sacred space between our striving and our surrender, allowing us to navigate the beautiful, sometimes turbulent, waters of life, not with fear, but with grace, always finding that balance where mercy can flow.